Hello everyone, I hope you all are happy and healthy. Today I want to talk about the Penguins of Madagascar episode, The Falcon and the Stow Job. For those of you who don't remember the episode, I'm going to briefly summarize it. Basically, a falcon named Kitka has hurt her wing, and Skipper, having the most obvious crush on her, allows her to stay at the zoo until her wing heals. The other penguins are worried about Kitka attacking the other animals since falcons do eat other smaller birds and, as she puts it, the delicious furry animals. Kitka promises that for Skipper, she won't eat any of the zoo animals. However, it seems like she has broken her promise when Julian has been kidnapped from his habitat, with Maurice claiming that a big bird took him. Skipper believes Kitka has been framed due to his judgment being clouded by how in love he is with her, and so he and the other penguins go to Kitka's nest at the top of some building so that they can rescue Julian, and so that Skipper can clear Kitka's good name. It turns out that actually, despite Skipper believing she was framed due to his crush on her, it really was another falcon that kidnapped Julian, and Kitka was trying to protect Julian from him. After Skipper and Kitka team up and take down the guy falcon, Skipper and Kitka share a sweet moment before it's revealed that Kitka actually did eat Fred the squirrel. After seeing the sight of Fred being regurgitated from Kitka's stomach, sorry for being graphic, but that's what happened. After seeing that, Skipper does a complete 180 and immediately says that he and Kitka should date other people. Now, this episode is really good. It has some funny moments, just like every other episode of the show. However, it's also a very significant episode when you think about it because this is the first time that Skipper has a love interest in the show. I think this is also the first time we see him with a love interest in the whole Madagascar franchise, I believe. I mean, unless you count Lola, who's just an inanimate object. Seeing Skipper with a real love interest is actually kind of surprising to me because Skipper doesn't seem like the type to fall in love, or at least fall in love very easily. In the episode I Was a Penguin Zombie, while at the vet he sees two people kissing on TV and seems completely repulsed by it. But in this episode, he and Kitka are watching a movie where two people also kiss, and he doesn't even bat an eye. Which, speaking of them watching a movie together, I was so surprised by the whole romantic montage of Skipper and Kitka going on a variety of dates. Like, it's already kind of surprising that he even has a love interest to begin with. But I never would have imagined that even when Skipper would date someone that he would be so romantic about it. Like, we definitely see a completely different side of Skipper that I never knew existed in this episode. It's also so shocking how when all the evidence points to Kitka being the one that kidnapped Julian, Skipper actually jumps to the most illogical conclusion. Skipper is a character that usually is willing to face the hard truths. He's not one to just think in such an irrational way. Well, except for when he's being paranoid, of course. And yet, after developing a crush on Kitka, who he just met not that long ago, he's already willing to defend her, even when all the evidence is against her. Wow. Just wow. Although, I guess this isn't the first time Skipper has behaved in a similar way. In Operation Big Blue Marble, Skipper refused to believe Kowalski when he showed him the facts of how his machine that created the churros was pumping out a toxic waste that was basically speeding up climate change. I guess Skipper's two biggest weaknesses are churros and falcons. But in all seriousness, it really does seem like Skipper not only had a crush on Kitka, but fell absolutely in love with her, which is again something so surprising to me, since I assumed Skipper to be the type who would have a hard time allowing himself to fall in love due to his paranoia and his distrust of others aside from his brothers. Like I said earlier, this episode really reveals a lot about Skipper that I would have never known otherwise. But just as surprising as it is that Skipper fell in love, it's also kind of surprising how he immediately broke up with her after Kitka tried to eat Fred. Now, I guess you could say that, well, maybe seeing that finally bursted Skipper's bubble of delusional love, and that's why he finally ended things with her. But I honestly thought that Skipper would still be fighting a little bit to keep Kitka around. Like, I think it would have been cool if this episode was longer, where instead of ending the episode with Skipper breaking up with her, perhaps Skipper asked Kowalski to come up with some food that Kitka can eat that would stop her from craving any of the zoo animals or animals that live in the park like Fred. Or maybe to create some sort of invention that would get rid of Kitka's desire to eat other animals entirely. And then maybe for a little while it works and Skipper and Kitka can continue to date for a while. That is, until maybe Kowalski's invention backfires and it all of a sudden makes Kitka's desire to eat other animals become even stronger and she becomes almost like a monster. I guess similar to how Marlene used to turn into a wild version of herself when she would step out of the zoo. And then, after they stop Kitka from eating any zoo animals, and Kowalski figures out a way to get her to calm down and go back to her normal self, then that's when Kitka and Skipper can realize that they can't be together and break up. That would have been more interesting, in my opinion. But I'm not the only one who had an interesting idea for how this episode could have been better, but someone commented on one of my videos. They commented another idea that I really like, and this idea is from somebody's videos Dudley3395. Sorry if I pronounced your username wrong, but yeah, here's what they have to say. Quote, "My idea is that the boy Falcon that takes Julian could have been Kitka's boyfriend, and maybe they could have had a fight, and being so upset about it that it could have led to Kitka's crash landing in the zoo. And then when she sees that Skipper is in love with her, she sees her old boyfriend off in the distance, and she gets an idea to make him jealous, or maybe she just wants to show him that she has so-called move on and doesn't want him anymore, and then maybe he sees Skipper and Kitka together and he gets jealous, and maybe he talks to her about it, and maybe things look like they're going to be okay, but maybe they get into a fight again and he leaves, and then he realizes that he still loves Kitka. So out of jealousy, he takes Julian, thinking he's a friend of Skipper's, and then when they go and save him, Skipper finds out the truth, and Kitka and her boyfriend get back together, and Skipper is sad, but he wants her to be happy. And then maybe Kowalski could tell Skipper that he'll find his true love one day, and then the episode ends. I also just want to say that it's weird that Private Eye Skipper did Kitka's behavior seem strange, because Kitka never really gave the viewers a reason to think she was going to eat them or anything, so showing her so-called strange behavior that she might try to eat them would also have been better and made more sense. And maybe if Skipper saw that she was gone when Julian gets taken, I think that might have been better too." End quote. Okay, I actually really like that idea. I think it would have been interesting to see what it would have been like if Kitka wasn't perceived to be dangerous by the others, because if Kitka didn't eat smaller birds and other animals, then I wonder if Kitka and Skipper would have ended up together, or if something else would have caused them to break up, like Kitka having an ex-boyfriend that she might still have feelings for, just like they said. And I also think it would have been so sweet to see Kowalski and the other penguins, comfort Skipper after Kitka breaks up with him and reminds him that he will find true love someday. But of course, Skipper is someone who is very strong, and, I don't think he would let a breakup keep him down for very long. And as for why Private asked Skipper if Kitka's behavior seems strange, and how Kitka didn't give the viewers a reason to think she's going to eat them, I do agree that they should have shown more examples of Kitka almost eating the animals. She was about to almost eat more in the beginning, but then after that she promised she wasn't going to eat any zoo animals, which quite frankly she did keep her promise, as she technically didn't eat any zoo animals. She ate Fred, which Fred the squirrel doesn't even live in the zoo, he lives in the park, so she technically did keep her promise, technically. But I do think that Kowalski and the other penguins were just simply worried. They were just a little worried about Kitka being around, simply because she was a falcon. And most falcons would eat the smaller zoo animals. So I think that Kowalski and the other penguins are just being extra cautious because of that. Maybe not so much that they thought that Kitka in particular would do anything to them, but I guess they just had this fear of, just a falcon in general. So yeah. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for sharing your idea. It was really great. It was a really great idea. I think if that was the episode, I honestly would love it. I think it would have been really interesting. And I'm all for more episodes involving romance and, and yeah. So I definitely think your idea is really good. And again, thank you so much for sharing that. And speaking of sharing ideas, let me know what you all think about this episode in the comments. Do you think that Skipper should have ended up with Kitka if she didn't eat Fred? Do you think Kitka was the one for Skipper? Or do you think that Skipper should have been with someone else? Let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please remember to love yourself and be kind to everyone.